Aw, Snoop Dogg. What's up, GameLeapers? They're just back at it, and it is that time of the fortnight to reveal the 20 best, most broken, most 2021 champions that you have to start playing to win games in 11-12, which is fast approaching, a bit like my baldness. Now, the planned patch notes for 11-12 came out yesterday, and if you haven't already, make sure you check out our detailed review on those, and these changes have thrown a few spanners in the work. Unfortunately, Heimerdinger, you are not one of these spanners, but there are some interesting picks in this countdown, so to find out if your favorite champion will be stronger than Pro Guide's ad game, make sure to stick around. Now, as always, if you are not already subscribed to this amazing channel, make sure you do so for daily league updates and challenger-informed guides, and also make sure to check out the GameLeap website. It is the only site you need to learn everything there is to know about League. Thousands of your fellow summoners have signed up, so get your head in there for a bit more jizz. Links, as always, in the description and comment section. Alright, so starting off the countdown, guys, we have a champion who I don't think I've mentioned for the entirety of this season, so that's 5 months he hasn't been mentioned, and this is Ziggs, coming in at number 20, and for Ziggs, your Q's damage at later ranks is going to be higher, which is great because you max your Q first, so a bit more damage in the laning phase and those early to mid game team fights. But the big thing, guys, is that your ultimate at medium to max range is going to be traveling faster, and it's going to be traveling at a very similar speed to Ezreal's ultimate. So if you've ever played Jinx, it does feel like it takes ages for your ultimate to land if you're trying to throw it somewhere else on the map. Well, now, because it's going to be traveling 50% faster, this means that you can throw your ultimate to those side lanes, to those jungle fights, to those dragon fights, to those baron fights, and it's just going to be more immediate and more impactful. So Ziggs comes in at number 20. Now, just ahead of Ziggs, we're going to switch to the top lane here, and this champion has one of the best win rates across the board and has had for ages this season. And this, of course, is Shen. Now, you can go for the Sunfire Aegis, Thornmail build and whatever else, but there's also a build if you want to, buff your teammates because you have a lot of damage on your team. You can go for the Xpedu build, which includes Chemtank, Redemption, and then Mikhail's Crucible, and the key behind this build is your shield power. So it's great for you in lane because of your passive, and it's also great for your team because of your ultimate. In your ultimate at later ranks, the shield actually got buffed recently. So when you ult onto your AD carry or your mid laner or one of your carries on your team who might die in those team fights, you are going to save them and you are 100% going to get into that fight and have an impact. So Shen once again on this list. Now ahead of Shen, we have the only AD carry. Now I was very tempted to put Ezreal and Draven on here, who are both good shouts. So if you thought Ezreal and Draven should have been on this list, for sure, they are worth mentioning. But the best AD carry still will be Jinx. And we all know that Jinx has been buffed this season a few times by Riot, but the big reason why Jinx is so good is because of the supports that are strong at the moment in the bot lane. So if you think of Lulu, if you think of Karma, these Shirellia supports that give you that movement speed you need to not only survive in this meta because there's so much damage, mobility, and CC and all that, but also to keep doing damage as well. So Jinx comes in at number 18. Now beating Jinx to the number 17 spot is another champion a bit like Shen, who is in the top lane and he's been featured on so many of our top 20 champions videos, and this of course is the best clay pigeon shooter in the game, Urgot. Now okay, Urgot got nerfed last patch and this has seen a bit of a decrease in win rate, but has this seen a really big decrease in win rate? No, because his win rate is still super high across the board, and the reason for this is because he's just super strong in that top lane. Now I don't want to mention it for the 10th video in a row, but the on hit you get from Titanic Hydra, here we go again, that's the reason why Urgot is strong. So until Mark Yedder and his fellow golds on that balance team decide to nerf that, Urgot is probably going to be on this list indefinitely, so he comes in at number 17. Now back on the countdown, guys, we have a mid and a top laner as well who has been played a lot more recently and has actually been having a lot more success, and this is Akali. And it's kind of interesting because when the changes came out for Akali earlier in the season, everyone thought, myself included, she was going to be complete trash. But from level 6 onwards, honestly, you could argue that Akali is the best champion on the Rift. Like seriously, level 6 she has so much kill potential, the new E damage she has is ridiculous, she has good mythic choices with Rocket Belt and Riftmaker, and also the strategy of running Ignite and then Teleport as well is also really good if you don't really need that flash in a particular matchup. This gives you more kill pressure, so if you do land that E, you are probably guaranteed a kill or at least a flash. Yes, she is weak in the first few levels because her energy costs are high, but if you can navigate your way through these, especially against ranged champions, there is no reason why you can't have a really positive impact on any game you're in. So Akali comes in at number 16. Now beating Akali to the number 15 spot on this countdown, guys, and if you are enjoying these videos that inform you you are the 20 best champions of the next patch, then let us know by leaving a like. And yes, coming in at number 15 is Kled. And Kled in high elo, let me just say, has a 55% win rate right now. 55%, yeah, that's right. Whether you go with Sunfire Aegis as your mythic, whether you go with Gore Drinker, which is now better because of the recent buffs as your mythic, Kled is just performing at such a high level. Now, you can get absolutely dumpstered by Fiora, this is true, but Kled is a very good counter against most champions, especially Akali, who I just mentioned, so if you see her in the top lane, lock in Kled. And he's one of those good all-around champions who's hard to kill, he's got good DPS and kill pressure, he's also got decent setup, especially from level 6 onwards because of his ultimate, and you can then use this to get around the map and impress your lead elsewhere. Now, we've had a few top laners already, I understand, but I can't run from the fact, guys, that Lee Sin is another top laner and mid laner, and maybe you can play him in the jungle, but mid and top lane, Lee Sin, this is where he's really strong right now, because you've got Gore Drinker, which as I said for Kled, is better now because of the recent buffs, and you've also got Black Cleaver as well, which got buffed recently, so last patch, so you're now getting the 30% armor reduction, which you used to. This is obviously great because as Lee Sin with your passive, you can apply these stacks, these armor reducing stacks very, very quickly, so you shred your opponents, and you've also got the innate tankiness with the health from Gore Drinker and Black Cleaver to survive the burst enemy champions throw at you in that mid lane in particular. He's hard to kill, he's got great setup, he's got wave clear, he's got sustain. There is very, very little that Lee Sin doesn't have, so get around the blind monk before he gets nerfed. Now, a champion who's a little better than Lee Sin in the mid lane and better at snowballing 1v9ing, so here we go, this is Katarina. Now, Katarina I still think is flying under the radar as one of the most OP champions on the Rift. You know, people are talking about Divine Sunderer, people talk about AD assassins. Well, what about Katarina? Her Nash's Tooth, Riftmaker, and Rocket Belt combination, depending on which mythic you want to go for, is super, super powerful. And one of the reasons for this, if not the core reason why Katarina is so good, is because of the on-hitter Nashes that is getting transferred into most of your kit now. Because yes, in your kit, you now have on-hitters Katarina. So your daggers, your Shumpo, your ultimate, you are applying some of that Nash's damage through your abilities. And you couple this with Sorcerer Shoes, Hextech Rocket Belt, or Riftmaker, Zonya's as well in there. And not to mention the fact that lots of low elo players just hate playing against Katarina, this is why she has to be on this countdown. Now, I mentioned one of the buff champions in 11-12 earlier, right? I mentioned Ziggs. Well, how about Nasus, who's getting nerfed? So how can he be on this countdown? Well, Nasus was in such a good position anyway, guys, that this nerf to his passive lifesteal, yes, okay, it's going to impact him a little bit, especially in that laning phase, but Nasus with Divine Sunderer is so strong anyway, and your Q's cooldown, which got changed, remember, in the preseason, this is what makes you so good right now. So a little bit of a dent in your passive, this is not a big enough leash to stop the dog from popping off. So if you just want to chill and farm in the top lane until level 9 and then take over a game, Nasus is the champion to do it on. Now, coming in ahead of Nasus, guys, at number 11 is an interesting one, and this is Xin Zhao, who's really been taken off recently. Even though Halo Blades, your main keystone, has been nerfed, Xin Zhao with Eclipse or Shield Bow even is super strong. In fact, he's almost impossible to 1v1, especially when he has Red Smite. Like, you cannot go near him. Not to mention the fact that if you W someone, you can then E them from cross map. Now, yes, his clear speed might not be as good as an Udyr, let's say, but Xin Zhao's 1v1 and his ganks are as strong as anyone right now, and I can honestly see the right balance team nerfing Xin in the near future, so get around this, try this out before this happens. Now, kicking off the top 10, guys, we have one of my favorite champions and one of the best AD assassins in the game, and this is Zed. Now, why is Zed good? He hasn't really been touched this season in the nerf and buff department, but other items in the mid lane has, one of them being Seeker's Arm Guard, which has made it easier for you to kill mages in the mid lane, so your level 6 spike is a lot scarier, and then you also have to consider your synergy with Prowler's Claw, Serpent's Fang, which has been buffed, Serulda's Grudge as well, which has also been buffed, Black Cleaver now, which has been buffed, so if you're against armor-heavy teams, you can take Black Cleaver and shred those tanks and bruisers. And to be honest, after saying all that, I probably should have put Zed a bit higher, but these next 9 champions are really strong as well. And coming in at number 9, guys, is Annie, so another mid laner, and yes, Annie is super good because of that Hextech Rocket Belt change that came in, which is giving you Magic Pen off the rip. So when you get your Hextech Rocket Belt, let's say around 12-13 minutes, when you have your ultimate up, you can one-shot legit anyone on the Rift. It doesn't matter how tanky they are, whether they have their support next to them, you are going to blow them up. What's also great about Rocket Belt is that you don't have to rely on your flash as much because you're getting that dash and movement speed from the active as well. So Annie has to come in at number 9. Now, beating her to number 8 on this countdown is a top laner. And I swear this list has just been mid and top laners, but yes, here we go. So coming in at number 8 is Fiora. Now, Fiora got buffed earlier in the season, so her passive damage, her vitals, these are doing doing more damage based on the opponent's max HP. So if you're against champions with lots of HP, you're going to be doing more damage. Also, recently, Gore Drinker got buffed, so you can go Gore Drinker, you can go Stride Breaker as well if you'd like. And with the Bramble Vest nerf from last patch as well, this means that your early to mid game laning phase is less of a pain, especially when you're going into champions like Malphite, like Ornn, these tanks who can rush Bramble Vest, even some bruisers like Darius might do it against you. This makes those matchups easier. So Fiora comes in at number 8. Now, can you guys believe it? Coming in next at number 7 is another mid and top laner. I'm so sorry. Blame the balance team. Mark Yetter, you're to blame for this. I'm pointing the finger at you. Now, coming in at number 7, okay, is Rumble. Now, Rumble is still played a lot in the jungle. I'm telling you guys right now, stop it. You're committing a cardinal sin here, okay? You need to start playing him in the mid and top lane where he has by far the highest win rates. And one of the reasons for this is a passive change that came in that gives you 50% attack speed, 50% when you overheat. Now, when you used to overheat, this used to be your weakness, you know, because you can't use any of your spells. Well, now it's funny because when you overheat, you'd actually probably do more damage than you would if you weren't overheating. Sounds really weird, doesn't it? This means that you pretty much have no weakness, and that oppressive early laning phase is the most oppressive on the Rift. So if you want that early priority, if you want to get to level 6 free of charge, Rumble is the champion to do it on, so keep doing it on him. Now, following Rumble, we have a champion of a similar ilk, and this is Nocturne. So if you don't want to play an AP champion who has that early game priority and early game pressure, Nocturne is the AD equivalent. Your passive gives you the sustain you need. Your Q gives you the push you need. So most of the time, you're almost always going to have priority. And once you get to level 6 free of charge and you get your Stride Breaker, you get your Steris Gauge, whatever else you get after that, maybe Black Cleaver, GA, you know, it's like you get to that mid game for free. And because most players don't have that much map awareness, Nocturne's ultimate is one of the deadliest going around. So Nocturne in the mid lane, yes, you can play him in the top lane, but I still think he's best in the mid lane because of that ultimate and that map pressure you have when you hit level 6. Nocturne comes in at number 6. Now, as we get into the top 5 champions, guys, of next patch 11-12, I want you first of all to keep listening, of course, and I also want you to check out the GameLeap website for the last time. This is the Jizz's last friendly reminder. You know, aren't you sick of being hard stuck? Wouldn't it just be nice to improve and climb and achieve your goals this season, which, by the way, it's already June. November is going to come really quickly. So when that time comes to be at the rank you want to, get signed up. We're uploading 15 to 20 videos a week, challenger made, challenger proven, so join the club, links down below. Now, last week's number 2 champion, guys, so the runner-up to the best champion last week is coming, or 2 weeks ago, is coming in at number 5 this time, and this is Wukong, who is in fact getting nerfed. So like Nasus, these 2 Divine Sunderer abusers, yes, Wukong is getting nerfed as well. So your AD per level is down by half, which means really later in a game, you're going to be dealing less damage, autos and abilities wise, and also your Q's bonus AD ratio is down by 5%, meaning that when you get more items, so again, later in a game, your Q is going to be dealing less damage. But here's the thing. Yes, these matter for the mid to late game in particular, but for Wukong, your laning phase is still super strong because you're passive, because of your attack speed from your E, because of your Q's range as well, because of your W, which gives you another free dash, and the fact that you have 2 ultimates. Divine Sunderer is still as good as it was from last patch, so that's not getting changed, so it's still really good. And Black Cleaver, which was also buffed, so you're getting that 30% armor reduction that I mentioned for Lee Sin, is still in the game and is not getting changed. So Wukong has to be in the top 5, even though he is getting nerfed, he's still going to be very good indeed. So who on earth can beat Wukong to the number 4 spot? Well, I'm going to tell you, it's Fiddlestick. Now, Fiddlesticks, like Annie, like Rumble as well, Hextech, Rock Belt, and Sorcerer Shoes, unreal combination, like one of the scariest going around, right? Now, I'm sure we all know why Fiddlesticks is so good. The ultimate with magic penetration, like it's just GG if he gets a good ultimate off. But also your early game clear, you are one of the few junglers left who can actually full clear all your camps and get to that Scuttle Crab as it spawns. This is such a major advantage because you're going to have an extra camp on the enemy jungler most of the time. Now, yes, it does require a little bit of precision to make this happen, but a little bit of practice goes a long way. So get in the practice tool, practice that full clear, get it down pat, and then get your Sorcerer Shoes, your Hextech Rockabelt Spike, and there's no way you do not give yourself a chance of hard carrying like this. So Fiddlesticks comes in at number 4. Now, ahead of Fiddlesticks, I haven't mentioned Riven for ages. Even just saying her name is kind of weird to me, but Riven, I can't hide from the facts anymore, guys, that she is one of the best in the game. There we go, one of the best coming in again. So much so that in high elo, where the best Rivens reside, you know, the mechanically powerful Rivens who you'd hate to verse, these guys have a 55% win rate. Now, why is that? Well, not only do they make use of a passive more than any other Riven in any elo in any region, but generally speaking, you have Gore Drinker, which was buffed recently. You have Black Cleaver, which was buffed last patch, 30% armor reduction, and then you have Death's Dance, which was buffed as well recently. So 3 of our major items, if not core items, got buffed. And also this season, Riven's E got buffed, so it's 2 seconds lower in the cooldown department. So what is there not to like? Of course, if you're not a Riven main, there's a lot not to like, but if you are a Box fanboy, this is the patch. This is the time to start playing Riven, guys, so test her out. So if Wukong's so good still, if Fiddlesticks is so good, if Riven is so good, well, who could be number 2? Who could be the runner-up on this list? Well, this has to be Lulu, no? Like, it has to be. There's no debate here. Lulu is not only super annoying to play against, but also super strong as well. Now, she's always going to be annoying, but because of the Shurelya's battle song buff and the change, which is now giving you and your carries movement speed when you buff them, and remember, 3 of Lulu's abilities can do this, so her W, E, and her ultimate, this makes it so hard for pretty much anyone to get onto you. Any bruiser, any assassin, any tank in the game, even if they initially engage on you and hit their engage, you can quickly run out, create that space again, and then go ham with your AD carry. So Lulu comes in at number 2. Now, number 1 is the best AD assassin in the game for next patch 11-12, and also the best champion, and this is Qiyana. Now, nothing is impacting Qiyana next patch, and guess what? That's a good thing, and this is really why she is coming in at number 1 again. Now, in the mid lane, she has the highest damage out of any AD assassin, and you might even say any champion anyway, because from level 3 onwards, it is showtime. The fact that you can reset your Q and get 2 of these off pretty much means if you hit them, you can half health your opponent, and when your cooldowns come back up, you one-shot them with your flash, guaranteed. Now, yes, your W's movement speed when you're holding an element did get nerfed last patch or the patch before, so maybe your roaming is a little bit impacted, but still, this was nothing really to write home about. And your ultimate, of course, can have a massive teamfight impact and winning those teamfights just single-handedly. And your ultimate's damage also got buffed earlier in the season, which is still here. Like Zed, your synergy with Prowler's Claw, you've got Serpent's Fang, you've even got Muramana now, which is in there too. So for the Jizz, Qiyana comes in at number 1. Let me know in the comments, guys, who is your number 1 pick? Who's the most annoying champion on this list? Let me know your thoughts down below and what you think. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in tomorrow's daily upload. Make sure you hit the sub button so you don't miss it. Bye! Button so you don't.